The ship came out of nowhere. One moment, the space around Conclave Station was calm and peaceful. Hundreds of alien vessels floated in their assigned positions. Traders sold their goods. Diplomats argued about borders. Scientists shared their discoveries. It was a normal day at the heart of the Galactic Assembly. Then the alarm started screaming. Fold space rupture tore open like a wound in reality. The energy readings were impossible. Every sensor on every ship went crazy at once. And from that rupture emerged something that made the entire station fall silent. The humans called it the UES Prometheus dot. It was 3 kilometers long. Its hull was darker than the void itself, eating light instead of reflecting it. Weapons platforms covered its surface like scales on a dragon. The ship moved with a grace that something so massive should not possess. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was impossible. Admiral James Chun stood on the bridge and watched the chaos unfold on his display screens. Dozens of alien ships were scattering in every direction. Emergency broadcasts flooded every channel. He could see the panic spreading like fire through dry grass. He allowed himself a small smile. Good. Let them panic. Let them remember this moment. Ambassador Yuki Tanaka walked up beside him. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had spent 15 years negotiating with aliens who thought humans were barely worth talking to. Today, she would finally have their full attention. 47 hailing frequencies so far, she said calmly. The Valori are demanding we explain ourselves. The Krithaks want to know how we built this ship. The Shorth are threatening to fire on us if we do not power down our weapons. Let them wait, Chum replied. 18 years ago, humanity had made first contact with the galaxy. They had been so excited, so hopeful. They had imagined joining a community of wise and peaceful civilizations. They had dreamed of sharing knowledge and exploring the stars together. The reality had been very different. The Galactic Assembly had examined humanity like scientists examining a new species of insect. They had measured human intelligence, technology, and culture. They had assigned humanity a classification: pre-emergent species, Category 7. It meant humans were too primitive to matter. It meant they would need at least 300 more years before they could participate in galactic affairs. The aliens had been polite about it. Some of them had even seemed sorry. But the message was clear. Humanity was a child species. They should go back to their little planet and wait their turn. The Valori Directorate had laughed when humans asked for shipyard schematics. Actually laughed. Their ambassador had said it was like a baby asking to borrow a nuclear reactor. Amusing, but impossible. That was 18 years ago. Now the baby had built something that made Valori dreadnoughts look like toys. The communication officer spoke up. Admiral, the Assembly Council is demanding an immediate explanation. They say our presence here violates 17 different treaties. Chun turned to face Tanaka. Ambassador? Would you like to respond? Tanaka nodded and stepped forward. Her voice was calm and clear as she opened a channel to the entire station. This is Ambassador Yuki Tanaka of the United Earth Government. We apologize for any alarm our arrival has caused. We are not here to threaten anyone. We are here to deliver a message and make a request. She paused, letting her words sink in. 6 months ago, Earth received an encrypted transmission. We do not know who sent it. We do not know how it reached us. But we have verified that it is genuine and very old. The transmission contained coordinates and a warning. The warning said, "They are coming. Prepare." The channels exploded with questions and demands. Tanaka ignored them all. The coordinates point to a region you call the Hollow. Your records say it is forbidden space. Your records say that no ship has ever returned from that place. We have studied your data. We know the risks. She took a breath. "We are going anyway. We came here to tell you this. And we came to ask if anyone is brave enough to come with us." The silence that followed was deafening. On the bridge of a Valori dreadnought, Fleet Commander Thexara stared at the human ship on her display. Her purple skin had gone pale. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly as she tried to process what she was seeing. "That ship is not possible," she whispered to her second-in-command. "Our intelligence said humans were still using chemical rockets and primitive fusion drives. They should not have full space capability for another 2 centuries. Her second-in-command had no answer. Thexara had spent her entire career believing that the Valori were the most advanced species in the galaxy. Her people had achieved spaceflight while humans were still living in caves. They had built an empire spanning 1,000 worlds, while humans were still fighting with swords. And now a human ship sat in front of her that her sensors could not fully scan. Her weapons officers were reporting that they could not get a targeting lock. The human vessel's hull absorbed every probe like water soaking into sand. For the first time in her long life, Thexara felt something she had never experienced before: fear. Back on the Prometheus, Admiral Chun watched the reactions flooding in from across the station. Some species were angry. Some were confused. Some were clearly terrified. But a few responses caught his attention. A Krithak's warrior ship was moving closer, not in attack formation, but in what their protocols indicated was a gesture of respect. The insectoid Krithaks had been conquered and nearly destroyed by an unknown enemy 2,000 years ago. They still told stories of that dark time. They still warned their children about the great darkness that had come from nowhere and almost ended their species. A small Ralani courier ship was also approaching. The Ralani were known as cowards throughout the galaxy. They ran from every fight. They surrendered at the first sign of danger. But this ship was coming closer, its captain requesting permission to speak. Chun nodded to his communication officer. "Let them through." The Ralani captain's face appeared on screen. He was small and covered in brown fur, with large eyes that seemed too big for his face. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "Admiral Chun, my people detected something in the hollow 6 months ago. Something very large. Something that vanished before we could identify it. We reported this to the assembly. They told us we were mistaken. They told us our sensors were faulty." The little alien swallowed hard. "We know our sensors were not faulty. We know something is out there. If you are going to find out what it is, we want to come with you." Chun felt a warmth spread through his chest. The first ally. The first believer. A species that everyone called cowards had just shown more courage than all the mighty elder races combined. "Welcome aboard," Chun said. "We leave in 1 week. The galaxy was about to change forever, and humanity would lead the way." The week passed quickly. Admiral Chun had expected arguments. He had expected threats. He had expected the Galactic Assembly to try everything possible to stop his mission. What he had not expected was how quickly sides would be chosen. The elder races refused to listen. The Valori called the mission foolish. The Shorth called it suicidal. The gas giant Omnith did not even bother to respond. They had ruled the galaxy for millions of years. They had seen young species come and go. They believed they knew better than everyone else. Their message was simple. The hollow is empty. It has always been empty. There is nothing there. Go if you want, but you will find nothing except your own deaths. But the younger races told a different story. The Krithaks were the first to officially join. Their ambassador, a battle-scarred warrior named Chitkra, came aboard the Prometheus personally. She walked onto the bridge with her 4 legs clicking against the metal floor. Her compound eyes studied everything around her. Then she stopped in front of Admiral Chun and placed a ceremonial blade at his feet. 2,000 years ago, my people nearly died, she said. Her translator made her clicking sounds into words that everyone could understand. Something came from the darkness. Something that ate worlds. Something that had no mercy. We survived only because the enemy left as suddenly as it came. Our elders have waited for its return ever since. She straightened to her full height. Your warning matches our oldest prophecies. Whatever sent that message knows what destroyed my ancestors. The Kruthax will follow you into the darkness, Admiral Chun. We will fight beside you or die beside you. Chun picked up the blade carefully. It was heavier than it looked. The metal was old and worn from countless battles. We are honored to have you with us, he said. Simply. 3 Kruthax warships joined the fleet that day. The R'Lani sent 3 of their fastest courier ships. They were small vessels, built for running away rather than fighting. But their sensors were the best in the galaxy, and their pilots could navigate through almost anything. When other captains questioned why cowards would join such a dangerous mission, the R'Lani captain gave a surprising answer. We are tired of running, he said. We have run from everything our entire history. We ran from the Valori when they conquered our first colonies. We ran from the KRTAX when they raided our trade routes. We ran from pirates and predators and every threat we ever faced. And where has running brought us? We are still weak. We are still afraid. We are still mocked by everyone. He shook his furry head. Perhaps it is time to stop running. Perhaps it is time to find out what we are really capable of. The biggest surprise came from the Valori themselves. Not all of them agreed with their government. A scientist named Kelveth had been exiled from Valori space 10 years ago. Her crime was asking forbidden questions. She had studied the Hollow for decades. She had found patterns in the emptiness that others said did not exist. She had written papers claiming that the Hollow was not empty at all, but somehow hidden from censors that her own people had called her insane. They had taken away her position and her reputation. They had sent her away in disgrace. Now she arrived at Conclave Station in a battered research vessel held together with patches and hope. She requested permission to speak with Admiral Chun. When she was brought to the bridge, she looked around at the human technology with wonder in her 4 purple eyes. You built this in 18 years, she breathed. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. And yet here it is. Chun nodded. We have motivation. Kelveth laughed. It was a harsh sound, filled with years of bitterness and vindication. The assembly told you that you were too primitive. They told you to wait your turn. And you responded by building something that makes their greatest ships look like children's toys. Your species is remarkable, Admiral. Will you help us? I have waited my entire life to prove that the Hollow holds secrets. Of course, I will help you. Just promise me one thing. What? Her eyes hardened. When we find what I know is there, let me be the one to tell my people they were wrong. Let me watch their faces when they realize they exiled me for telling the truth. Chun smiled. I think that can be arranged. By the end of the week, 17 vessels had gathered around the Prometheus. It was not a large fleet. It was not a powerful fleet. Most of the ships were small and old and held together by determination more than engineering. But every single crew member had chosen to be there. Every single one had decided that finding the truth was worth risking death. The assembly officially condemned the expedition. They declared that anyone who went to the Hollow would be barred from returning to civilized space. They warned that no rescue missions would be sent. They made it very clear that humanity and its foolish allies were on their own. Ambassador Tanaka accepted the condemnation with grace. We understand your position, she said in her final broadcast. We hope that when we return, you will understand ours. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Admiral Chun gathered his officers and the captains of the Allied ships. They appeared as holograms around the central table, a circle of different species united by a common purpose. In a few minutes we will jump into fold space, Chun said. Our destination is a place that no one has ever returned from. We do not know what we will find there. We do not know if we will survive. But I want each of you to understand something. He looked around the circle, meeting every eye. We are not doing this because we are brave. We are not doing this because we want glory. We are doing this because someone sent us a warning. Someone took the time to tell us that danger was coming. The least we can do is take that warning seriously. The Grethak's ambassador clicked her mandibles in agreement. The Relani captain nodded, his large eyes determined. Even Kelveth, who had spent so many years alone and doubted, seemed to stand a little taller. Whatever we find, Chun continued, we find it together. Whatever happens, we face it together. That is the human way. And now, it is our way. He turned to his navigation officer. Take us into the darkness. The Prometheus hummed as its full drive powered up. Around it, 17 other ships did the same. Space twisted and bent. Stars stretched into lines of light. And then, in a flash of impossible physics, the fleet vanished. Behind them, the Galactic Assembly watched in silence. Some hoped the humans would succeed. Some hoped they would fail. But all of them knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The journey into the unknown had begun. The fleet emerged into nothing. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Okonkwo had served in space for 20 years. She had seen wonders that most people could not imagine. She had watched stars being born. She had flown through nebulas painted in colors that had no names. She had stood on moons orbiting gas giants so large they made Earth look like a grain of sand. But she had never seen anything like this. There was no light. Not a single star. Not a single point of brightness in any direction. The darkness was so complete that it seemed to have weight. It pressed against the ship like deep water pressing against a submarine. Every screen showed the same thing. Nothing. Every sensor reported the same result. Empty. This is wrong, she whispered Dot around her. The bridge crew worked frantically at their stations. They ran every scan in the database. They tried every trick they knew. Nothing worked. The universe outside the ship was simply absent. Admiral Chun stood at the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. His face showed no fear. His voice was calm and steady. Report. Sir, we are detecting no stars, no planets, no radiation of any kind, Okonkwo said. According to our instruments, there is absolutely nothing out there. Not even background radiation from the Big Bang. That should be impossible. That radiation is everywhere in the universe. Everywhere except here. Chun nodded slowly. The other ships? All present, sir. They are reporting the same readings. The Krithak's flagship is requesting guidance. The Relani scouts are scared, sir. Very scared. Tell them to hold position. We expected this to be difficult. But even Chun felt a chill run down his spine when the navigation officer spoke up. Admiral, we have a problem. A big problem. The young officer's face was pale. His hands were shaking as he pointed at his display. We are moving toward the center of this region. 3 meters per second. But our engines are not running. We are drifting. Something is pulling us. Chun felt his stomach drop. Can we resist it? I already tried, sir. Full reverse thrust does nothing. We slow down for a moment. Then the pull increases to match. Whatever is drawing us in, it is stronger than anything our engines can produce. Panic began to spread through the fleet. 2 Relani ships tried to activate their full drives and escape. The engines powered up, glowed brightly for a moment, and then died. They tried again. Same result. The full drives simply would not work. They were trapped. Chun opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Chun. I understand that you are afraid. I am afraid too. But panic will not help us. We came here to find answers. It seems the answers want to be found. Stay calm. Stay together. We will figure this out. The Kruthax ambassador replied immediately. The Kruthax do not fear death. We fear dying without purpose. If there is something at the center of this place, we will face it with you. Other voices joined in. The Relani captain, his voice trembling but determined. The captains of a dozen other ships, all agreeing to stand firm. Fear was still present, but it was being pushed aside by something stronger. Trust, unity, the simple knowledge that they were not alone. For 2 days, the fleet drifted through the darkness. Okonkwo and Kelveth worked together without rest. They had started as strangers from different species. By the end of the first day, they were partners. By the end of the second day, they were friends. The Valori scientist brought knowledge of ancient theories. The human officer brought fresh ideas and stubborn determination. Together, they attacked the puzzle from every angle. It was Kelveth who had the breakthrough. The darkness is not empty, she announced to the assembled captains. Her voice was filled with excitement. The darkness is solid. We are not floating through empty space. We are inside something. She projected her findings onto the main display. Complex equations and diagrams appeared, but she explained them simply. Imagine a ball, a hollow ball 2 light years across. The walls of this ball are made of something that absorbs all light and all radiation. From inside, you see nothing because the walls eat everything. The stars are still there. They are just on the other side of the walls. The captains stared in shock. You are saying we are inside a structure? Chun asked. Yes, a structure built by someone with technology far beyond anything we have ever seen. A Dyson sphere, but not around a star. Around empty space. Around this entire region. Someone built walls around nothing and hid whatever is at the center. The founders, the Kruthax ambassador whispered. The first ones. The legends speak of them building wonders beyond imagination. Structures that spanned star systems. Machines that could reshape reality itself. Okonkwo pointed to a spot on the display. There is more. We found an anomaly at the exact center of this sphere. The coordinates from the message point directly to it. The wall is thinner there. Much thinner. It might be a door. Chun studied the display for a long moment. The fleet was still drifting toward the center. In approximately 6 hours, they would reach the anomaly. Whatever happened next would happen there. Can we open this door? He asked. Okonkwo hesitated. The Prometheus has weapons that we have never used. Weapons designed for situations exactly like this. High-energy beams that can cut through almost anything. They might work, might? There is no way to know until we try. Chun looked around at the holograms of his allied captains. The Kruthax, the Relani, the Valori exile, all of the others who had risked everything to come this far. We did not come here to turn back, he said. When we reach that door, we open it. Whatever is on the other side, we face it together. 6 hours later, the fleet arrived at the center of the darkness. The anomaly was invisible to the eye, but clear on sensors. A thin spot in the shell. A crack in the armor of this impossible structure. Chun gave the order, and the Prometheus powered up weapons that no one in the galaxy had ever seen. The beam struck the anomaly like a bolt of lightning hitting a mountain. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the darkness rippled. The ripple spread outward like waves in a pond. And slowly, impossibly, a seam of light appeared. It grew wider, brighter. Doorway opening in the wall of night. Beyond the doorway was something that made every being in the fleet forget how to breathe, light, life, structures of impossible beauty orbiting a controlled star. A station at the center that dwarfed everything they had ever built. The door to the greatest secret in the galaxy was open, and humanity had knocked. The fleet moved through the doorway in silence. No one spoke. No one could find words for what they were seeing. Even the translators had gone quiet, as if the machines themselves were stunned into stillness. A star burned at the center of the hidden space. It was not a natural star. It was too perfect, too controlled. It gave off light and warmth, but no harmful radiation. Someone had tamed the sun and placed it here like a lamp in a room. Around the star floated structures that broke every law of physics that anyone knew. Rings within rings, spinning in opposite directions. Platforms that hung in space without any visible support. Towers that stretched for hundreds of kilometers, covered in patterns that seemed to shift when you looked at them directly. And at the heart of it all sat a station. The Prometheus was 3 kilometers long. It was the largest ship humanity had ever built. The station was 300 kilometers across. It made the human supercarrier look like a toy boat floating next to an island. The surface of the station was covered in writing. Okonkwo magnified the image on her display and felt tears form in her eyes. There were symbols she recognized from ancient Earth, hieroglyphics from Egypt, characters from China, runes from Scandinavia, writing systems that humanity had used thousands of years ago, mixed with alien scripts from dozens of species. "This is impossible," she whispered. "Some of these symbols are from before humans even had civilization." Kelvith was staring at her own display with an expression of pure wonder. "The Valari scripts here are from before my people discovered fire. Someone has been watching us all. Someone has been watching everyone. For millions of years." The Krithek's ambassador made a sound that her translator could not interpret. Then she fell to her knees, her 4 legs folding beneath her. Her compound eyes were fixed on a single symbol repeated throughout the station's surface. "The mark of the founders," she said in a voice filled with religious awe. "The first ones, the creators of all life. They are real. They were always real." Admiral Chun stood at the center of his bridge, surrounded by crew members who had forgotten their duties. They all stared at the screens. They all tried to understand what they were seeing. "Hail them," Chun ordered quietly. The communication officer opened all frequencies. Standard greetings in every language. Mathematical sequences that any intelligent species would recognize. Light pulses and radio waves and everything else they could think of. For a long moment, there was no response. Then the response came, and it was unlike anything they had expected. It was not a radio signal. It was not a light beam. The message appeared directly in their minds. Every being in the fleet heard it at the same time, in their own language, as clearly as if someone were speaking inside their heads. "Children of Earth, you received our call. You came despite fear. This is why you were chosen." Chun felt the words echoing through his thoughts. They were warm and sad and ancient. They carried the weight of ages beyond counting. "Who are you?" he asked aloud. "We are what remains of the first, the founders, the seeders of life. We walked among the stars when your sun was still a cloud of dust. We spread life across the galaxy because we were lonely, because we wanted children to inherit what we had built. You are those children, all of you. Every thinking species in this galaxy carries our gift within them." The voice paused, and Chung could feel something like sorrow in the silence. "We are no longer what we once were. We evolved beyond physical form. We became something new. Something that exists outside your reality. We can observe, but we cannot touch. We can speak, but we cannot act. The defense of all we created must fall to those who still walk in the world of matter." Kelveth found her voice. "Defense? Defense against what?" Against our greatest mistake. The station came alive around them. Holographic images appeared in space, visible to every ship in the fleet. They showed a history that stretched back to the beginning of the galaxy dawn. The founders had been curious. Too curious. In their early days, they had opened a door to another dimension. They had been searching for infinite energy, a power source that would let them reshape the universe itself. What they found instead was something terrible. The images showed creatures made of darkness and wrong angles. Things that did not belong in normal space. Things that hated reality itself because their dimension was the opposite of everything that existed here. We call them the Devourers, the voice explained. They come from a place where entropy runs backward, where existence is poison. They do not want resources. They do not want territory. They want to unmake everything that is. When they first came through, they nearly consumed us. We sealed the breach at a terrible cost. 90% of our people died to close that door. The images showed a point of light hidden behind a black hole. A seal made of energies that no current species could understand. The seal has held for 300 million years. But it is weakening. In approximately 200 of your years, it will fail. The Devourers will return. And this time, there will be no founders to stop them. Admiral Chun felt cold despite the warmth of the bridge. Why contact us? Why humanity specifically? We have watched all our children grow. We have seen their strengths and their weaknesses. Most species, when faced with impossible odds, will surrender. They will accept their fate. They will lie down and wait for death. The voice became warmer, almost affectionate. But not you. Humans do not accept extinction. When faced with disaster, you fight. When told something is impossible, you try anyway. When every logical calculation says you should give up, you become more determined. This quality confused us at first. It seemed irrational, self-destructive, but we have come to understand it. You call it stubbornness. We call it hope that refuses to die. Chun stood straighter. What do you need us to do? This station is a library. Everything we learned about the Devourers is here. Every weapon we designed. Every defense we built. Every strategy that worked and every strategy that failed. Take this knowledge. Share it with the galaxy. Prepare your people for what is coming. And you? Can you help us fight? We cannot. We have become something that can no longer interact with physical reality. But we can give you tools. We can give you knowledge. And we can give you a truth that you must carry back to your galaxy. The voice seemed to focus specifically on Chun. The elder races believe they are superior. They believe younger species have nothing to offer. Show them they are wrong. Unite them. Lead them. You were chosen not because you are the strongest or the smartest, but because you are the species most likely to rally others to a common cause. The galaxy will follow humanity if humanity shows them the way. Chun looked at the holographic image of the Devourers. Creatures of nightmare. Enemies of existence itself. Then he looked at his crew. At the allied ships floating nearby. At the impossible station that held the answers to survival. We will not let you down, he said simply. And somewhere in the depths of the station, something that had once been alive felt something very close to hope. 3 months passed inside the archive. Every day brought new discoveries. Every hour brought new understanding. The fleet scientists worked without rest, downloading data that had been waiting millions of years to be found. They copied schematics for weapons that could hurt the Devourers. They recorded histories of battles fought before any current species existed. They learned secrets about the universe that changed everything they thought they knew. Admiral Chun walked through the station's endless corridors whenever he could spare the time. The wall showed images of the founders as they had once been. Tall beings of light and grace, with 4 arms and faces that seemed kind even in still pictures. They had loved life. They had spread it across the galaxy because loneliness was the one thing they could not bear, and they had made one terrible mistake that would doom their children unless those children could save themselves. Okonkwo became the leader of the research teams. She organized the scientists from every species into groups that worked together day and night. Valori experts on energy weapons, Kruthak specialists in defensive formations, Relani navigators who memorized escape routes and evacuation plans, human engineers who found ways to adapt founder technology for current ships. They could not learn everything. 3 months was not enough time to absorb 300 million years of knowledge. But they learned enough. Enough to give the galaxy a chance. Enough to turn hopeless defeat into a possible victory. Calveth spent most of her time studying the founder's history. She emerged one day with tears streaming down her purple face. They could have saved themselves, she told Chun. When they evolved beyond physical form, they could have simply left. They could have gone to another dimension where the Devourers could never reach them. But they chose to stay. They chose to watch over their children. They chose to die slowly over millions of years, fading away because they refused to abandon us. Chum put a hand on her shoulder. That is why we cannot fail them. On the last day, the founder spoke to the fleet one final time. You have taken what we have to give. Now go, share this knowledge. Unite the children of the stars. You have 200 years to prepare. It sounds like a long time, but it will pass quickly. Do not waste a single day. Will we ever hear from you again? Chun asked. We will watch. We will hope. But we cannot act. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands now. The voice grew softer, filled with something that sounded like love. We are proud of you, children of Earth. We are proud of all of you. Prove to the universe that our faith was not misplaced. The fleet powered up their full drives. This time, the drives worked perfectly. The doorway in the shell opened for them without any effort. And in a flash of light, 17 ships vanished from the archive that had kept its secrets for so long. They emerged at the edge of Conclave, stationed to find 200 warships waiting for them. For a terrible moment, Chun thought they would be attacked. The assembly warships had weapons powered and aimed. Targeting lasers painted the hull of every vessel in the coalition fleet. One wrong move would mean death. Then Chun noticed something strange. The ships were not just from the elder races. There were vessels from dozens of species, some of which had never agreed on anything before. They were arranged in formation, but it was not an attack formation. It was something else. An escort formation. A formation of honor. Ambassador Tanaka stepped forward and opened the broadcast channel. This is the used Prometheus returning from the Hollow. We bring knowledge that will change everything. We bring proof that a threat is coming. We bring a warning and a chance for survival. She paused, stunning the fleet that surrounded them. We left as outcasts. We return as messengers. Will you hear what we have to say? The response came from the Valori dreadnought at the front of the formation. But the voice was not that of an enemy. It was Fleet Commander Desara, the same officer who had watched in fear when the Prometheus first arrived. 3 months ago, we thought you were fools. We thought you were rushing to your deaths. But while you were gone, we watched. We waited. And we noticed something strange. Her voice carried across every frequency. The hollow changed. The darkness that has existed for millions of years began to flicker. Light appeared where there had never been light. We detected energy signatures that matched nothing in our databases. Something happened in there, and we knew you were the cause. Another voice joined in. A Shorth crystal carrier. speaking for a species that had been among the loudest critics. We also received reports from our oldest archives, records that had been locked away because they were considered myths, stories of the founders, warnings about a great darkness, prophecies about a time when the children would have to stand alone. A third voice, an Omnith gas giant dweller, their words translated through specialized equipment. We were arrogant. We were blind. We refused to see what was right in front of us. But we see now. Show us what you found. Show us what is coming. Show us how to fight. Chun felt his heart pounding as he realized what was happening. The galaxy had not attacked them. The galaxy had come to meet them. The galaxy was ready to listen. He transmitted a fraction of the archive's data. Images of the founders. Records of the devourers. Evidence of the seal that was weakening. It was only a small part of what they had learned, but it was enough to prove they were telling the truth. Enough to show the scale of the threat. Enough to make every species in the assembly understand that their petty conflicts meant nothing compared to what was coming. The channels exploded with voices. Questions, demands, offers of help. Fear and determination mixed together in a wave of sound that swept across the fleet. Chun raised his hand, and somehow the voices fell silent. 200 years, he said. That is how long we have. 200 years to build defenses. 200 years to prepare weapons. 200 years to train warriors and plan strategies and manufacture ships. It sounds like a long time. It is not. The Devourers nearly destroyed the Founders, and the Founders were more advanced than all of us combined. He looked at the fleet surrounding him. Former enemies. Former skeptics. Now allies in a war for survival. We cannot do this alone. Humanity cannot save the galaxy by itself. Neither can the Valori. Neither can the Sharath or the Krethix or any other single species. But together, we might have a chance. Together, we can become something greater than any of us could be separately. Admiral. Chun straightened his shoulders and spoke the words that would echo through history. The Founders chose humanity to lead this fight because they believed we would not give up. They were right. We will never give up. But we do not want to lead you as masters, lead servants. We want to lead you as partners, as equals, as family. Who will stand with us? For a moment, silence. Then the Valori dreadnought powered down its weapons and moved to join the human fleet. Then the Sharath. Then the Omnith. Ship after ship, species after species, former enemies becoming allies in the face of a common threat. Ambassador Tanaka watched with tears in her eyes. They are following, she whispered. Chun nodded slowly. That is what the Founders saw in us. Not strength, not intelligence. The ability to bring others together. The ability to make enemies into friends. He turned to face the viewport, where the assembled fleet was forming up around the Prometheus. 200 years. Let us make them count. The galaxy had been divided for millions of years. But now, for the first time, it was beginning to unite. And at the center of that unity stood a species that had been dismissed as primitive. A species that had been told to wait their turn. A species that had refused to accept their place. And had reached for the stars anyway. The coordinates. Had promised something. There had been nothing except the truth. And humanity had never been afraid of the truth.